Product management can be overwhelming. You might feel like you're running around like a headless chicken and dealing with emergencies all day long. When this happens, it's easy to lose perspective and get drowned in activities that don't really create impact. To turn this around, all you need to do is bring some focus to how you do things to grow your career with intention. This is why the second step in my 3-step ultimate productivity framework for PMs is focus, and focus is the topic of this video. But before we dive into it, if you just got hired as a PM and you're wondering, what in the world do I do now? I'm here to help you out. My name is Jelena and I'm a VP of product in a remote startup, and I've been doing product for over 5 years. If your job currently feels like everything everywhere all at once, I created this channel to help you master product management with confidence and clarity every step of the way. So let's dive into this video. I mentioned earlier that my ultimate productivity framework for PMs consists of 3 core steps. Step 1, dump. Step 2, focus. And step 3, execute. I explored the first step, dump, in a previous video that I will leave linked in the description box down below. And I will share with you the third step, execute, in my next video in 2 weeks. But in this video, I'm taking you through the second step, which is focus. And by focus, I mean how to create focus so that you can grow in your career as a PM. I think that having a focus plan for your career as a PM is important, particularly when you're working in small companies where you don't necessarily have a mentor who could help guide you on your career path. I also think that it's important in companies where pace of work is pretty crazy and it's very easy to get dragged into daily emergencies and putting out fire. So essentially the way I think about focus is on 2 levels, goals and weekly priorities, and we'll start with goals. These days, most mature companies are using some goal-setting framework to kind of set team goals and product goals. So this could be OKR, rocks, or simple bulleted list of just things that need to get done. So the challenge that I experience in early stage companies or startups is that the employees don't have goals set that will really help them grow in their careers. In my personal experience working in a small startup, I was left for a large part of my career to fend for myself and figure out how to grow in my own position. While there's nothing wrong with kind of figuring things out on by yourself, there is tendency not to set any goals for yourself just because no one on the team basically expects you to or nobody else is doing. And that, I think, is really a problem. Not having a clear growth plan can lead essentially to you always getting dragged into emergencies and small nitty-gritty issues instead of focusing on the big picture and making big moves that propel you forward in your career and your experience. Years ago, I wish somebody told me what I'm going to tell you right now, and it's to make sure you're always moving forward in your career. You need to set goals for yourself, even when nobody in your team and your company really cares about goals. Every quarter, I like to set 2 types of goals for myself, but I also help my team as a leader to kind of set their own goals. So the first type of goal I call professional development goal. This usually is a soft skill or a habit that's work related essentially. And basically I'm aware that I need to improve on to kind of go to the next level. For example, one of my team members chose to focus on improving how she communicates product decisions she's making because her process was not very transparent and it was causing distrust in her team and stakeholders. Another example of such goal is when my colleague chose to improve communicating his opinions openly despite feeling he's being basically judged by others. And my own goal from last year was to offer feedback to my team in continuous and timely manner. So because I realized that I was kind of keeping a lot of feedback and waiting for the perfect time to communicate it instead of communicating it continuously as things happen. So essentially you notice that these goals are more focused on the soft skills or even habits than that normally don't seem really urgent at all, but they are critical to master to kind of grow in your role. So in order to keep track of ideas for such goals in the future, because I cannot tackle all of them, there's always so many things that I could kind of explore and grow. I basically keep a Notion doc with a list of challenges I face in my day-to-day work that I can then basically reference and choose the next skill or next habit that I should build in the next quarter. The important thing is that goals are really nothing if they cannot be regularly tracked. Since such soft skill goal is kind of hard to track as a metric, I have a Notion doc where I write the following sentence at the beginning of every week. So I showed up for my goal by, and then I give an example how I showed up. This means that for my feedback goal, every week I would reflect on the previous week and write, I showed up by offering feedback to Anne after the product review set so that she can improve the product review structure, for example. And I kind of reference a specific situation where I exercised my new habit or the skill. When I track the soft skill goal every week, I make sure that I'm focused on it regularly and that it's kind of always in the back of my mind, because unless I do that, I will completely forget about what I decided. So this kind of way I know that over the course of the quarter, I truly would have improved in that area that I set for myself. The next type of goal is a project goal. A project goal is essentially a project or a hard skill that you develop by completing a project that will contribute to your product, but is not necessarily part of your day-to-day work and activities. Such project can include setting up analytics framework for your product, or improving on the existing one, or creating and updating a user persona for your product. It can also include completing a specific course and applying this knowledge to a project. For example, my colleague last quarter decided to learn more about product-led sales and prepare training for our team internally, and how we can take this knowledge and apply it to our organization and kind of grow our product further. This way he strengthened not only his knowledge and he became the expert in organization in product-led sales, but he also helped the rest of the team and the product essentially improve. So unlike professional development goal, project goal should be defined as a SMART goal, that it's basically easy to measure and easy to understand if it's done or not. We set a project goal in the beginning of every quarter, but to kind of make sure that this project goal is truly done, I break it down into smaller milestones, and then every week I track what I completed to make sure that by the end of the quarter it's truly done. I also keep a list of potential projects that I can pull up in the beginning of each quarter and kind of choose my next project for the upcoming quarter. So this brings me to the second component in kind of creating focus, and that is weekly priorities, or sometimes with my team we call it weekly focus. So while goals help you make sure you're building your knowledge and skills so that you can grow in your role as a PM, this is not the only thing that you can do to create focus in your work life. So weekly ritual I call weekly priorities or weekly focus can help you make sure you're working on the most important things instead of reacting to circumstances, essentially. If you watched my previous video, you saw I like to run my week almost like a development sprint. I like to intentionally select tasks that are the highest priority out of my backlog so that I can make sure the most important things are actually being done, because I understand that I cannot do it all by myself, especially in small companies where you have limited resources and you as a single person obviously have limited energy, so you need to pick your battles wisely and invest yourself in things that actually drive impact and create results, instead of trying to run around and kind of do everything and in the end create nothing really useful. Every week I start my week by checking with my second brain that I mentioned in my last video, and basically I understand kind of what are those items that I need to move from my backlog into my to-do column, essentially into my sprint. So to really make sure that all this is sealed in my brain, I have a simple document where I list 3 most important tasks that I will need to do that week. And that's my weekly priorities or my weekly focus. So I start out by understanding, like I reference my second brain, okay, like what's in it, like what's going on there, what really matters, and then I will list the 3 most important things, up 2 to 3 also depends, like obviously it's not just kind of sticking to an arbitrary number, selecting a few things up to 3 that truly matter, that need to get done that specific week. An important thing to understand is that these weekly priorities are on a task level, which means that they are small, specific, and can be done within a given week. I don't put a giant project that will take weeks to complete into my weekly focus. I break that project down into smaller portions, into smaller tasks, and that's how it ends up in my backlog, and that's how it ends up on my weekly focus list. I might add a few more things into my to-do list, but like if they're smaller things, but the key kind of thing is that what's in weekly priority, that's the most important stuff, the stuff that just needs to get done. Why is this important? Well, because things that are not urgent tend to essentially get pushed off out of your schedule, and important things, those things that actually move you forward, both you and your product essentially, are hardly ever urgent. And what happens is we tend to deprioritize this, and these issues, tasks, projects, and we kind of focus on running around, putting out fires and working on the small things, which I mean might seem in the moment the most important thing to actually do, but like truly the things that move you and your product ahead are usually not that urgent and not grabbing attention until it's actually too late. So essentially, to avoid getting sucked into urgent and unimportant, weekly priorities list can help you focus on what actually matters. And another benefit of weekly priorities list is that I also go through with my team through their weekly priorities with them. This way they know that they're working on what is most impactful and important for the company essentially, instead of investing time in something that doesn't really matter and doesn't really drive results. I have a Notion template for goal tracking and setting weekly priorities that I will leave linked in the description box down below. And that is the second step of my productivity framework for PMs. Second step is focus. My next video will cover the third and the final step of my 3-step framework, which is execute. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you're finding it valuable, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for more product videos like this, more product productivity videos. Here is the previous video on this topic and that you might enjoy. And until the next video, keep creating user value. Bye.